morning. Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. The stock market is crazy and chaotic, and I made it my mission to help you guys own it. It is Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. It is March 24th, 2023, and it's normally a day where Don shows up and hangs out with me in the mornings. He did send me a message about 7 minutes ago telling me he was going to be here, and he is not here. So for those of you who are watching on Don's channel, this is not my fault. For those of you watching on my channel, welcome, and Don will be here shortly. Looking at the markets right now, it's all red across the board. The S&P 500 is down around 0.8%. It's down 31 points. The Dow's down 303 points, and that's good for nearly 1%. The Nasdaq's down 0.5%, so still doing better than everything else, which is kind of what we've been talking about. And Russell 2000 is down 1.2%. Crude oil is actually sitting at 67.46 per barrel. That's down around 3.5%. And we go ahead and look over at Bitcoin, and that's actually up right now. It's up 1.71% or 470 points. It's sitting at $28,033 per Bitcoin. So, a couple of things that we're going to be chatting about today, hopefully, whenever Don gets here, is that the banks, it seems to be kind of what's dragging down the markets this morning. And we're going to discuss why. Then we're also going to go into a little bit of what's going on in the crypto space just briefly. Do Kwon got arrested, and that whole debacle. I wanted to get Don's take on some of the Coinbase stuff as well. You know, for me personally, I wasn't quite seeing the allure to just going out and buying Coinbase right now. Then we're also going to kind of follow up on the Square, or AKA Block, situation. Then we also have some weird news, and it's quite disturbing. Hope you guys haven't eaten breakfast yet, because it's crazy. And we also, of course, have birthdays at the end of the stream. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. As you're coming in, hit that thumbs up for Don and I. Certainly would appreciate it. We are going to talk about TikTok as well, Bodie Beard. I will be mentioning that. If you guys didn't catch yesterday's news, the CEO of TikTok US was being grilled by Congress yesterday, and I don't know. I don't really buy a lot of the things that he was saying, but we'll get into that as well. But what's going on? I see a lot of folks chiming in here. Let me get my starting five out of the way. GMC Boom, Beard, Allen 316, Philip Stroh. By the way, happy birthday. And Chris Edwards and Boogaloo Brown. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. You guys are my starting five over at Own the Chaos. If you guys didn't make it to the starting five, it could be because you're not subscribed or hitting that notification bell. So make sure you're doing that. Show up early and just might get shouted out in the next stream. For those of you watching from Don's channel, he will be here. I promise. Javi says Don doesn't seem to be a morning person. I'm not a morning person either, yet here I am. It's now been 11 minutes since he has texted me that he was on his way. He said, coming in hot. Chris Edwards says, first time in starting five in like 2 years. Well, there you go. It's going to be a good day. I really didn't want to get into any of these big topics until later in the show. So hopefully, or until at least Don was here. So hopefully Don will show up. And I have nothing for the poll this morning. I'll think of something. Let's go ahead. Well, I'll go ahead and pull up the charts. We can do that. We can pull up the S&P 500. 100. Let's pull up the SPY here real quick. All right. There you go. So here's your SPY right now. And as you can see, it's down around 0.5% currently. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 5-minute chart here. And we're not waiting on Don anymore. One of the big reasons why this is moving down right now is because of what's going on with, in particular, the European banks. So Deutsche Bank has been is really kind of what's front and center right now. What's dragging it down? Oh, must have been Don. These are Don's charts, by the way, if you guys are curious. So let's see here. So we check out the charts here. You can kind of see what's happening. This is the Qs here, and we take a look at what's going on with Deutsche Bank. So if you guys didn't catch the news, Deutsche Bank has been getting crushed after the cost of insuring the bank's debt against the risk of default shot to more than a 4-year high, highlighting concerns among investors about stability of Europe's banks. If you guys didn't catch earlier in the week, we talked about Swiss bank Credit Suisse being in big trouble here. Credit Suisse was a state-backed bank, and the Swiss bank ended up kind of bailing it out. And it's kind of created a lot more turmoil and a lot more stress, a lot more concern for the U.S. banks. After all, SVB had already gone under, and it looks as if there is going to be a suitor for them quite soon. That's what I'm seeing here on some of the headlines for SVB and First Republic Bank as well. So the banks are still feeling it, and this is coming a day after, or 2 days after, the Fed had raised rates 25 basis points and talked about credit tightening, and so this is going to continue to be a theme, I think. With the credit tightening, it kind of accounts for about 0.5% as well. Lots of analysts are in agreement with that. Germany's largest bank has seen $3 billion wiped off its market value in the space of just a week, which is a big deal. Deutsche Bank was kind of like in the same situation as Credit Suisse. Not necessarily as bad, but it ain't good. And so their credit default swaps, or what's called CDS, is a form of insurance bondholders that shot up above 220 basis points, the most since 2018, from 142 basis points just 2 days ago, based on data from the S&P Market Intelligence. On yesterday, Deutsche Bank's CDS had their largest one-day gain on record based on Refinitiv data, but they remain well below highs of close to 300 basis points logged during the Eurozone debt crisis in 2011. So bad, but not as bad. CDS for major European banks rose across the board on Friday, reflecting investors' reluctance to carry any risk on their portfolios going into the weekend. Deutsche Bank has been in the spotlight for quite a while now, in a similar way to how Credit Suisse has been. This is according to Stuart Cole, who's the head macroeconomist at Equity Capital, and has gone through various restructurings, changes of the leadership, and attempts to get it back on solid footing. But so far, none of these efforts have appeared to really have worked. And so what do we do about this? This is certainly something that we can continue to monitor. But as I had mentioned throughout the week, I think it still makes sense to go after some of the bigger U.S. banks. You have Bank of America right now that's actually well off its lows in the morning here, but it's down around 1.33%. It was down much more than that. If you take a look, I think these are all opportunities. Look at JP Morgan, for example. That is also making its way back up. That's down around 1% too. Even a Wells Fargo makes sense. But also, we could look at some of the exchanges. Schwab could also be in that mix as well. These are all opportunities, in my opinion. Deutsche Bank is certainly a major bank that's going to create a bit of a ripple effect and create some fear out there. But these big major banks aren't going anywhere. In my opinion, I think that there's still opportunities for those big ones. And now we have Don here hanging out with us. Lots of people giving you a hard time.
I can imagine. Yeah. Man, mornings should be rough. Like, it's like the one day, like, the wife takes the kids to the daycare so I can do this. But today they just were not having it. You guys don't have kids. Just know that's what you have to look forward to. Yeah, usually I'm up at 5 a.m. getting everything ready, everything to go. And then, like, Friday's like my one day. I used to sleep to the bell. I was like, let me just sleep to the bell, because Fridays I don't really chase a bunch of trades. But man, they like to stress you out.
It's all good.
We need to zone some of these out, don't we?
Yeah, well, it logged me out because I guess, I don't know, you logged into a different computer, so that's.
Yeah, I know what that is.
So you can log into yours if you just want to share your screen.
Give me 1 second. Yeah.
So, anyways, we were kind of discussing what's been going on this morning in the markets, and one big reason why we're seeing the sell-off has a lot to do with Deutsche Bank, kind of potentially getting ready to suffer the same fate as perhaps Credit Suisse is. And these are European banks, and so the question could be, well, if it's happening in Europe, why does it matter here? Well, it all kind of creates that ripple effect, and really, a lot of the major U.S. banks are global banks as well, and so it can be felt across the board, especially with a bank such as Deutsche Bank. And Credit Suisse wasn't necessarily a big player, but Deutsche Bank could potentially be one that makes a bigger splash than something like Credit Suisse did.
From what I've heard, yeah, I would agree. So I have no pushback on that. Sure.
So what I was explaining was that Credit Suisse was having, or not Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank was having some issues with their credit default swaps, or CDSs, which is a form of insurance bondholders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of not quite the same as like a Silicon Valley or what have you, but it's just the insurance bondholder shot up around 220 basis points, which is the most it had done since 2018, and the highest single day move ever for them. That's what kind of some of this panic.
So basically, everyone's trying to get their insurance on.
Yes.
Not a good look.
Yeah.
What's XLF doing?
So just checking out some of the comments while Don's pulling this up. The U.S. is on fire, says Bodie Beard. I don't know about that.
For buyers right here. I'm short. I'm trailing it, so it doesn't really matter. I hope it falls to the floor. But so far, we found some buyers in this zone.
That's what I was saying. Like you look at some of the major banks, and they're well off their lows from this morning so far. So I think that perhaps this could be more of a dip grab, but a little bit more. It seems as if there's a bit of an overreaction going on out there. Vinay says accidentally shares OnlyFans. And Bodie Beard asked if I listen to the All In podcast. I do. I listen to them every now and then. But it's really difficult to listen to a bunch of rich guys that kind of are out of touch with what the everyday person is. Like, it's fun to listen to them, but sometimes it's like they're kind of out of touch with a lot of things too. Yeah. Have you ever watched the All In podcast?
No, are they any good or no?
It's good. It's Chamath Palihapitiya, and like a bunch of his other cronies. I can't remember what the other guy's name is. Something Sachs. I can't remember his name.
I mean, I like Chamath, but I can imagine what that podcast would be like. Yeah, people in that realm typically have never been in the bottom half, let alone the very bottom. So, like, they think, like, what was it that where they asked everyone at Harvard what they thought the average income was of the United States?
Yeah,
there were answers like $400,000 a year.
Yeah,
like everyone thought it was like 400 or 500. Like the average answer was like $300,000 or $400,000 a year is what they thought what middle class made. I was like, you guys are just in a different realm. Like when you grow up with mommy and daddy money, like you can only imagine what that podcast would sound like.
Yeah, I mean, they're not that out of touch, but it's definitely like I don't know. It's a bunch of billionaires talking on camera, and you can just tell it's a bunch of billionaires talking on camera. You know what I mean? Like it's not it's not like they're talking about anything that isn't right or isn't factual or anything like that, but it's definitely like you just get that feeling.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I need something to watch.
It's a good listen. I mean, and they do talk about some good stuff. So I won't take that away from them, but it's just not my cup of tea. That's all.
Man, did you talk about this? This is what I wanted to harp on. Look at the NASDAQ right here. A lot of people think this is really choppy price action. And I'm going to bring back to why I'm worried about this with the banks.
Just to clarify, this is a 4-hour chart that Don's looking at here.
Yeah. So right now, look at the 4-hour. You think probably choppy. It's all over the place. These zones, anytime I draw these zones, yellow, just know it's 4-hour or daily. and all the other ones have like a specific time frame, but the 4 hour, really 4 hours has two candles, daily has one candle. There's really not much difference. If I need to fine tune it, I'll go back and forth. You can see we jumped up, found some sellers there a couple times, but if you just go to the daily, not a single person is holding on to anything above this level. And this is how big banks get out. They use algorithms to get in and out. And it looks like, and there's no way to prove this, but it looks like their parameters are anything above this, start exiting that position. And these last two, like, I would got a couple.
That's at 12,750 area.
Yeah.
For the
on this chart, I think these numbers are actually a little bit off when it comes to the actual futures. This is the when you look at NAS 100 USD, that's a contract for difference. The reason I zone all this out is because you don't have to pay for data to get this. All the candles are the same. That's what I'm watching. But for the people that don't pay for data, you can have a Robinhood chart and an internet connection, and you could just follow me and everything I do, which is why I choose this one. So if you're trading actual futures contracts, just know that zone's around these two doji candles. All the candles look the same. This, I want to say it's like 18 off. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it looks like they're selling. Someone big is getting out because people said it was because Powell said we don't know where how the banks got into this. It was like one comment. I wouldn't say it's responsible for that giant red candle. And then we get up here again.
Pause. That was actually Janet Yellen that came out and said that she wasn't guaranteeing insurance on all deposits, and it freaked everybody out.
That's this red candle.
That was
it was yesterday.
No, yesterday. No, it was on the same day that the Fed raised rates.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, Yellen was live yesterday as well, and we got this giant red candle again. Was she not live yesterday?
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, she was live like all day yesterday, and that's what everyone talked. Yesterday was Yellen.
Okay.
Either way, I really don't care. All I know is two giant candles came out, and the excuse that came with it was kind of lame. And when you look at it, this is how institutions exit positions. And it looks like they're getting out above this. And if tech gives up and the banks, first of all, if XLF breaks this zone right here, and tech gives up, tech's the only thing holding the market up. If we haven't seen such inflows into Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Google, the S&P wouldn't look anything the way it looks right now. This would be much lower. So I'm very curious about how this holds up if tech doesn't keep pushing.
I mean, it certainly makes sense what you're saying, but my counter argument to this, and I've been saying this over the last couple of weeks, is that the way that we're seeing the banks come down, it's almost as if we're seeing deflationary factors kind of come into play. And when that happens, it actually, plays into the favor of tech in general. And so you almost kind of have to wonder if the banks continue to suffer, are more and more people, more and more investors going to flock to tech. And obviously you had just pointed out how the Qs seem to be facing this pretty tough resistance. But I'm almost kind of curious to see how this plays out throughout the rest of the day. You look at the NASDAQ right now, and actually futures, NASDAQ is down, but not as much as everything else. And I almost wonder if that matters.
Let's check out Meta first. I say that because earlier in this,
that is actually green right now.
Yeah, but Meta earlier this morning was the only one green.
Yeah.
And I really do. And I think you've said this before too. I think this is the buyback going on because no matter what, we've seen Meta just go for it. And no matter what, it just seems like there's something just holding Meta up. Like if the same sell volume is hitting Meta, then they're buying it back. Or everybody just forgot Meta exists and it's just ignoring all the other red days that have happened.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how much that can hold up.
I am too. I mean, there are other factors here. I mean, look, Meta had been undervalued for what, a year. You and I had been like banging the drum on Meta platforms, and it almost kind of feels as if, sure, the buybacks could be a huge factor of that, but you also have to consider they've laid off 21,000 employees. They've kind of worked their way back, and their earnings were actually halfway decent. And despite the fact that they are up 64% year to date, They're still only trading at 21 times next year's earnings, which is still relatively low compared to the other fangs too.
Yeah, the year to date thing sounds cool, but when you look at it, like up 64%, like it sounds big. But
It
when you
is
look
for
at,
a short period of time. That's all. That's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
oh, yeah, I know. I'm saying like when we get like a run up like this, and we're so close into the year, like it does kind of almost like skew that. So like I feel like people will think like they're chasing meta, and I hate to be like, look how high, like
Yeah.
the YouTuber used to say is look at the margin it created. I absolutely hate that statement, but at the same time, like meta went for it. Like so, a lot of people think 2021 was just pure hype, and we saw everything go up, but I'll show you guys what hype looks like and what investors look like. Because during 2021, this was still mostly investors buying. This was not a retail ticker. So this wasn't like the 2021 effect. I think we could easily get back up there. This is what 2021 looked like. All right, so you got a bunch of hype coming in the market, and then a bunch of hype left.
You're looking at Peloton.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Oh, okay.
You talking so fast. We have to like. Everybody's looking at Peloton now because he's just using Peloton as an example.
Yeah. So yeah, 2021, everything went up, and Meta did go up in 2021. I just don't think it was for the same reasons like all the other tickers did. Because some of these, if your stock looks like this, it's not coming back. Right. It's still down here at the bottom. Like it just lose hope. Like for the 3 people that are probably still in Peloton, I'm sorry. Maybe one day, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So I say that because I just absolutely hate saying it could get back to all-time highs. I think a lot of people just throw that out there. And 2021 all-time highs is going to be a price a lot of tickers never see again.
So why do you say that institutions were the ones that were buying up Meta in 21, and then that wasn't actually all retail?
That was actually I forget the website. You can look up institutionally owned or retail owned. This was 85 or 90% institutionally owned. It's why it was my biggest position, even over Tesla.
Yeah,
I liked it. It just kept going up. It was nice and easy. It was just a calm ticker. Like it had its crazy times during earnings, but what doesn't? It was just a very like chill, growing ticker. They make billions. It just wasn't a hard company to buy, fundamentally or technically.
The free cash flow for Meta is absolutely insane. I'd have to go back and check where it's at, but the last time I had looked, the free cash flow of this was $40 billion, which is
how will they ever keep the lights on?
Right. I wonder what the poor people are doing.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely nuts. The amount of money they bring in, which is why like Mark Zuckerberg was looking into other ventures, right? That's why like he was talking about getting into the metaverse and why Meta is even Meta at this point, because he was like, well, we're making all this money and that's just on cruise control.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's just dive into other areas and see where we go. And I think the metaverse is the future. Now, whether you believe that or not, or whether you like Mark Zuckerberg or not, like he was certainly on to something, and he was reinvesting in the company in one area that he thought that would be worth pivoting into for the future. Because at some point, he saw what was going on with Apple and some of their limitations and how it was impacting the business, and that it wasn't going to be an immediate impact, even though we saw some of that, but it wasn't going to kill the business. But he could see that eventually it would. And so that's what makes good CEOs. That's what makes good businessmen and women. And so that is something that I actually kind of thought was great. But most investors were like, well, do what you're good at. Keep doing what you're good at. Keep, just do what you've always done. And so he's kind of pivoted back. He's kind of backpedaled a little bit. And that's kind of why we're seeing this huge move. And what I would say probably is a lot of investors coming back into the stock.
Yeah. I mean, what you touched on, I think a lot of people probably just shook off. Like he literally saw, so Google and Apple both attacked Meta. Yeah. And it's a direct competitor, like it directly affects them. And so he saw that coming and didn't want to have all his eggs in one basket.
Yep.
And got hit the eject button basically before like the plane blew up. Like I think he made a great move there. And I think a lot of people really underestimate that.
Yep.
I'm saying that right. Yeah, I thought that was huge. I do think Meta, I agree with that. I think Meta is going to be big. People just don't understand it yet. Once you could sit down and see everything without moving, that literally describes everyone in the United States. They want everything without moving.
Yeah, it's not that he's not wrong. It's just that he perhaps could be too early for everybody else, you know, and that's what's kind of spooked investors from the jump.
It'd be hard to not bump that timeline up with $10 billion though.
Right. And that's what he ended up doing, was investing $10 billion into this. And he even was very up forward in front about how long this would take. You know, you see kind of people making jokes about what the metaverse looks like right now for Mark Zuckerberg, but it's still very much in its infancy.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great though.
I do too. I'm pumped for it. Couple of comments here. Pittsburgh T says, what stock would you buy that gives exposure to crypto, or just buy crypto? And we're going to get into that next topic here. So just speaking on the crypto side of things, and we'll be brief with it because I know most of our viewers aren't about it, which I hope that you change your mind soon, because you're not gonna have a choice. But there's a couple things that have been happening. I talked yesterday about Brian Armstrong selling a lot of Coinbase, and because of the SEC coming after them. Yet Coinbase is still putting up a fight as far as registering goes, and complying with some of the laws that they have about unregistered securities, and that's the SEC. And then you had Do Kwon that was arrested yesterday. If you guys haven't checked that out, he is the Terra USD founder. He was indicted by the U.S. authorities on fraud charges as well. So it's not just Do Kwon and the rest of the world, but it's also now the U.S. is getting in on this. And so this is going to continue to be a thing. And obviously you can see that Bitcoin is up today. One of the big reasons is because I think of what's going on with the major banks. You guys heard us talk about Deutsche Bank earlier at the top of the show, but we're seeing this move in cryptocurrency because of the potential weakening of the dollar. I just wanted to kind of cover this story real quick for Do Kwon, as far as the Do Kwon story is concerned. I'm going to hide the charts for just a moment. But if you guys didn't catch this story, it's certainly worth at least knowing about. So Do Kwon, who's the founder of the Singapore-based Terraform, if you guys don't know about that and what Terra Luna is, this is a stable coin that ended up crashing and going immediately to zero within a day or two. This happened back in 21, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was last year. I can't remember. But it was indicated by the U.S. authorities on fraud charges following. I'm sorry, it was indicated by the U.S. on fraud charges following his arrest in Montenegro late Thursday. Kwon, who's 31, faced 8-count indictments unveiled yesterday in the U.S. District Court of Manhattan, with charges including securities fraud, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Terra USD and its sister coin Luna collapsed in spectacular fashion last year, wiping out more than $40 billion in market value and triggered tremors in the cryptocurrency market, ultimately toppled Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX. You guys know the domino effect that ended up having on cryptocurrency in general. Kwon is a South Korean national and has been evading authorities for several months following the Terra USA collapse. It was eventually stopped by police in southern European capital of that area, traveling with forged passports and falsified documents. So that's what was going on with the Do Kwon thing. We were trying to have Tampa on this morning to talk about this because she was a huge fan of Terra, a Terra Luna survivor.
I really thought you were trolling her with that news.
No, I wanted to have her on and talk to her about it. So, and she was actually, she didn't buy it at first, but it's actually a thing, and the U.S. is now indicting them. And so, to get back to the question here on what stocks would I buy that are related to crypto, I don't know if I would buy any of them. I think I would just buy Bitcoin and be done with it. I mean, there is Mara. You can take a look at. If you guys aren't familiar with that one, it's related to Bitcoin. Don, obviously, Christ. Don is already shaking his head at that one. Then you have Riot, who is another one. Both of these companies are mining companies, so directly related to the price of Bitcoin. You can kind of see how they move in conjunction with that. Sort of. Riot's down quite a bit.
Weird, because Bitcoin's up.
That's what I was going to say.
I was actually going to cut you off if you said any stock at all. on this because I think it's actually a silly game.
It is.
And Mara and Riot, 'cause I even see like another comment down there. Those are Bitcoin hype tickers. So Bitcoin can go up; those will still go down. They're just not good tickers to be in. But when you see Facebook getting talked, or not Facebook, when you see Bitcoin getting talked about on Facebook, and just everyone's grandma's buying again, then everybody has that same idea of I don't want to buy Bitcoin, but I know how to buy a share on Robinhood. So like they go to Mara and Riot. So you see those pumped in, but I would keep that just for the trading world and momentum trades, and I would stick to just crypto.
And well, I would take that a step further, and I wouldn't even touch crypto. I would say just buy Bitcoin, because crypto in general, most of it is they call it decentralized, but it's not. And even that goes for Ethereum as well at this point now that it is proof of stake. So I would say it's Bitcoin or nothing, and everybody can kind of push back on that as they want to. But the one thing that I will say is that Bitcoin is the only thing in the U.S. that's registered as an asset. At least right now, there isn't any other cryptocurrency, to my knowledge, that is registered as an asset or seen by the U.S. government as an asset, or other entities for that matter. And everything else that I've seen crypto related outside of Bitcoin has just been kind of trash. It really just has been. I mean, they've done well, and then they've all crashed. So I just don't see any other currency right now that is as reliable as Bitcoin. And it's kind of like what we talk about with Tesla, right? Everybody's like, well, what's the next EV company that we should be buying up? And I'm like, well, why go after any other EV company when Tesla exists? And that's kind of where I'm at with the Bitcoin conversation.
It's weird that you have an Android phone, because Bitcoin, there's a reason why it's like Bitcoin and then everything else is an altcoin. Kind of like how you have Apple and then everything else is an Android. You got 9 million Androids. They're all pieces of, they just suck, a month later. And then you have Apple. It just runs.
That's that's patently false.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Android. What's Android? Samsung, LG, Google.
There's more Androids in the world than there are Apples.
There's more cryptos in the world than there is Bitcoin.
No, that's not true. That's such bullshit.
They print more Dogecoin than there will ever be Bitcoin in life a day.
More people own Bitcoin than anything else in the world. Period.
Yeah, more people have Apple.
No, that's not true. That's
more people have Apple than they do your phone.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, they do.
In the world,
not Android.
Do the math. Do the research. You
show me more people have it. What do you have? You have the broken one, the one that folds in half already.
It's not broken. It's all in one piece. Thanks.
They sold you a broken phone because it's already broken in half. There is no way in the world, no way. I'll bet you $1 billion that there are more iPhones than that phone right now.
Than this particular brand or this particular type of phone, yeah. Of course. But I'm talking about
any phone. Android
phones versus Apple. There's more Android phones in the world than Apple. Period.
There's more crypto in the world than there is Bitcoin.
Oh. That analogy is the dumbest.
Because it works. It's because you're an Android user. You probably wouldn't understand. Apple people, where you at? You guys know. You guys hear me,
bro? Apple is the most centralized thing there is.
If you guys think crypto is decentralized, only a clown believes that.
Bitcoin is decentralized. It's nothing else. Your argument are becoming
by the time this becomes anything, this will not be a decentralized for the people currency. This is what's happening is like an invasion from the government, the people, it's going to be their currency by the time this is all said and done.
Yeah, lots of people coming to my rescue here. Thank you for this. This is ridiculous. The dumbest argument I've ever heard. So
you guys should subscribe to me. I'll teach you guys how to trade. You can afford an iPhone. There's no reason to be broke.
What? Anyways, this was the same. This is actually more than an iPhone, believe it or not. Anyways, so this was not supposed to be a conversation about Android. This is supposed to be a conversation about Bitcoin. To answer your question, I would say just buy Bitcoin and nothing else. I do see someone, I thought I saw Indo Crypto tuning in, which I thought was interesting. What's up, Indo? I didn't even know you watched our shit. I thought you were still hanging over at DCTV, but we appreciate you, man. It says interesting. I would love to get your thoughts on this and why you think it's interesting. And to be honest with you, if you want to come on and have this conversation, because we wanted to have Tampa on this morning, I would love to pick your brain about this, about what's been going on in the crypto space in general, because I'm still not nearly as much of a quote unquote expert, which I'm far from. And I would venture to say that Don's not an expert either in the crypto space, which is why we leveraged you guys in the first place over at DCTV. If you are available, hit me up. So I'd love to chat with you. But Apple is like Shib, it's a cult. Thank you. That's we're gonna leave that last word there.
No, it's like Bitcoin. Real quick before you get on any further, someone in the chat did post Meta right now institutional ownership 73.75%.
Yeah, that's a ton.
They're climbing back.
Yeah, that's a ton. So lots of people. I've seen a couple of questions now about Nike. Can we pull up Nike and see what's going on there?
This is actually going to be one of my TikToks. Because they want to ask you, why is it selling off?
It doesn't look like it's selling off much at all.
It was. And on your stream, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
It was Tuesday.
Yeah, you said, why is it selling off? And someone said, why is it selling off? You said, you don't know why it's selling off. And you had my zones right there. Literally jumped up. I want to say, Brad, that is the answer. I was going to take that clip and 60-second it.
Pause. Understand where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just be like, so here's the thing. Okay. I love Don to death. And we have this conversation all the time. Yes. It's as simple as looking at a chart.
Mm-hmm.
If all I said was, well, just look at this zone. There's more buyers than sellers. There's more sellers than buyers. That's the end of the show. Have a great night, guys. We'll be here. We'll be here for whenever you want to ask us another dumb question, and we'll give you a dumb answer. I'm not saying you're not wrong, but there's also reasons why people buy and sell things other than what it looks like on a chart. So that's why that is why I said, based off of some of the fundamentals, why it was like, it seems kind of weird that people are just like turned off by Nike. Well, what I will say is, and what some of the things that we've seen before was that the stock had just like really ramped up. And to your point, to tie into the charts and where this zone is, we see this kind of quite often where this is more of a buy the rumor, sell the news. And this is kind of where the technicals tie into some of that fundamental conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was funny. That really was. I was going to make it a short, but then I didn't want to, because with you not being in it, but being in it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like an attack. I thought it was funny though, because I wanted to be like, Brad, look at the screen. That's why it's selling off. Your answer's right there. The sellers did show up. I look at it from a making money standpoint. You know, everyone knows that as far as my view. I don't care what the story is. You can tell me it's a tooth fairy. That's fine. As long as the tooth fairy lines up with my buys and sells.
We're all very aware.
I'm there.
But listen, I mean, yeah, I guess if you put your tinfoil hat on, you can make the argument for everything. But Deutsche Bank was selling off because people were worried that Deutsche Bank is going under, right? So like, it's not because everybody was looking at the same chart that Dom was looking at.
Just the big guys. Hang on, read it. Is it Vi?
I am Vi.
Brett likes to prolong the date and flirt. Don is a smash and done.
Not wrong.
I'll get you flowers.
It's not wrong. Oh, and I'd appreciate that. So markets are officially open. Let's take a look and see what's going on there overall. S&P still kind of staying right where it was since the top of the show. It's down around 0.6% or 23.5 points. Dow's down 189, 0.6, and the NASDAQ is down 0.6 as well. It's down 72 points.
Thank God. I'm out here just chatting along like I'm not even in the market right now. I have puts, I have short positions I need to manage.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. What you got going on?
I bought 313 QQQ puts yesterday, which are rocking, but I'm going to put I'm just going to close those.
Which means that you went
short.
Correct.
Yeah. Full send. And now I actually went, this is the 15-minute. What's stupid is I went short up here. And typically I wouldn't be in this play by now. Yesterday was just hectic. It actually went all the way down. And by the time I looked at my phone, we're back up in this zone again. So it's like, God dang. So it's only a fluke that I'm even still in that. and my stop triggered on the S&P. So I was already short overnight. Had my stop right here. Looks like that last green candle got me. As it sits right now, kind of just sitting in that, just keep it on screen, just bear flag or reversal. They will both look the same. So I'm actually all out of everything now.
Interesting.
I don't know if I thought about going long right here, doubling up on my stop. Something your viewers probably don't know much about. So I will. I posted it on my Twitter because someone was asking in the Discord chat, how do you do it? So I posted like a just screenshot, play by play, and this particular one I was long, but my stop loss was 2. So essentially, I would stop out and go short. This one I thought about doubling up, but I didn't. So I would be short. Let's say I'm short 5 contracts. My stop loss would be 10, which would instantly close those 5, go 5 long. That's how I get fills. That's how I switch so fast between long and short.
Yep.
But I didn't do it, which looks like we might be all right. I'm going to let this chopper. I don't really feel like chasing today because I kind of want to see. I really want to watch the XLF breaking below this zone. We got to get to the 4-hour because we got to take that with a grain of salt.
So just pause because we're just flying through again. We need to slow down for the people. The XLF, if you guys aren't familiar with what the XLF actually is, it is the financial sector ETF. So it has things like Bank of America, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, but the big major banks are comprised of the XLF. So this is the chart that Don's looking at.
Yeah. And this right here is going to be a pretty significant level for them to break. This is the Rona crash right here on screen. That was the peak right before it. So a lot of people will be watching. You can see we've actually, for whatever reason, right, fundamentals, whatever you want, all the buyers so far have been here. And that's what I care about because inside this, as much as I give Brad crap, he's a buyer off certain reasons. You got other people buying because the RSI was oversold. You got fund institutions buying because of whatever reason. All the buyers are there. They vote with their wallet. That's why I watch charts so much. And right now, if they don't like this level anymore, then clearly I don't. And this carries significant weight as far as the Russell and the S&P goes.
Absolutely.
So what's that?
I said absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know how much of the S&P it is. I know it's 21% of the Russell. So if this gives this up, I'd say we're just going to continue the path we've been on and just hope and pray, like fingers crossed, that the NASDAQ doesn't turn around right now. And what we're seeing is just not a good sign with sell orders right here. Like in theory, what you'd want to see is this. Here's your low, here's your high, here's your higher low. So we're looking for a higher high. It just hasn't happened yet. And if tech were to give that up, because FANG right now is the only thing holding up the market. If the XLF is to continue down and we get FANG to turn around, then we're going to have probably some pretty decent red days ahead.
Yeah, the resistance there and that it keeps holding is very telling. You go all the way back to February, and it was actually a really tough resistance then. It seems as if it's just getting beaten down once more.
So look at this zone across. So we got, looks like June of last year. We actually went through it, but then sellers showed up here. A lot of sellers showed up here, just blasted that thing down. Yeah. So whatever institution liked it at that level clearly has the majority of the order flow right now, is what I'm assuming. This all just can't be proved or anything, but until that seller stops, fills their whole order, or decides to go long, then that's a brick wall we got to get through. Which right now, currently, this is the daily chart. We're still trending up. The daily trend is still up. We just had a couple of warning signs that this might change here. And if that does, then be patient. If you guys only go long, this isn't a joke, but I'd say be patient because you're probably going to get the dip by a much better one.
Yep.
Which personally I'm hoping for Microsoft and Meta, even though Meta never goes down anymore.
It will be interesting to see if it actually breaks above that. So
it's got to, break and close. It's trying. It's certainly done it a couple of times.
Right.
I don't know if we can see it on stream. I'll zoom in so we can see these wicks.
That's what I meant. Break and close. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the daily, break and a close, and that's like, that can almost be taken two ways, because if we break and close, but the next day opens and comes right back down, that's the same story as a wick.
Yep.
So break and close is at least going to be like your first sign, like, hey, the next day, if the next day it continues up, I'd say we're probably I don't want to say in the clear because someone's going to whole account, but I would say we're looking good.
Yeah, I agree. But currently, it doesn't look all that great, and that's what I've been saying since that break in that trend right there on the S&P 500. I haven't quite been as confident as I was, say, in early February, and that was kind of before the banks did what they did. So we'll see where this all goes. I wanted to break some things up and get into some weird news. If you guys haven't checked this out, this is some crazy shit. It is absolutely wild to see what things that happen to people that you just would never think that would happen to you using everyday shit. If you guys haven't caught the news here, at least 68 people across the U.S. are now have been infected by contaminated eye drops. It's killed 3 people and blinded 8, leaving 4 others needing an eyeball surgically removed.
The whole ball?
The whole eyeball. So, yeah, like somebody, yeah. So here's the story. So here's what happened to this person's eye.
Oh my gosh!
Hope you guys haven't aren't on a full stomach or anything, but this is what happened to this person's eye. If you guys haven't caught this news, it's crazy. The over-the-counter drops by EzraCare and Delsum Pharma. They recalled these drops in February and has now been linked to cases in 16 states across the U.S. and the Centers for Disease Control, or the CDC, and an updated alert Tuesday of a tally from March 14th, meaning it could now be higher. That includes cases in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. At least 37 were linked to 4 healthcare facility clusters, without detailing where they were. This says, quote, 3 people have died and there have been 8 reports of vision loss, 4 reports of enucleation, which is the surgical removal of the eyeball. And again, without detailing where they were, this is crazy. The toll was up from 1 death and 5 cases of vision loss reported last month, and that is apparently increasing. But can you imagine waking up one day and that's what your eyeball looks like after just trying some eye drops?
I would probably have to start holstering on my other shoulder if it was my right eye, but I would be getting probably some kind of revenge. I think I'd be that pissed.
Yeah, I mean, and they're just simple, like dry eye drops. They're not even like for anything specific. It's just hey, my eyes are dry. Just when I get some.
They're not even medicated. I thought they were at least prescription.
No, they're over the counter. They were over the counter drops for like what are they called? Like artificial tears. That's what they are. So like if you have dry eye.
Salt water.
Yeah.
How do you mess that up?
Yeah.
I guess they did, but they have the answer.
But
that would suck.
I gotta get my eyeball removed.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Grandpa, tell me your war story. Oh, I wasn't in a war. I was the greeter at Walmart, but I used some eye drops. That's how I lost my eye.
Yeah.
Don't worry, little Timmy. Your grandpa's still pretty cool.
Like Jesus Christ, man. Let us know in the comments what you think about that story. But that is your weird news of the day. I was just like blown away by that. That was absolutely crazy.
Did it say how fast it happened? Did you just take the drops next day?
It didn't say how fast it took place. No.
Oh man. I was always told to look at the sun.
The
eye drops.
Drops apparently manufactured in India and are blamed for a strain of Pseudomonas, whatever that is. That apparently they're just contaminated with whatever was in India.
Banging. Sounds awesome. I'd rather just cry.
Right. Yeah, I'd rather just have dry eyes at this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna remember that, and then never take those ever again. Not that I have, but
forgot the saline added back.
This will fix that dry eye problem. I mean, I guess it did because they're never going to worry about it again.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you can still get dry socket though, can't you? And that's something people with no eyes have to worry about. Isn't it called dry socket?
Yes, I think so. I think you might be right about that. I'm not entirely sure, but that sounds right. Phil Stroh says a couple drops in a drink will kill you. Didn't know that. I know that gives you crazy diarrhea because like kids used to do that as pranks. Lord Fender said Don always talking about watch me so you can afford what I have, and then talks about the cheap shit he buys. Getting back to the Apple conversation. That's hilarious. Bodie Beard says Pseudomonas is a gram-negative aerobic non-spore forming rod that is capable of causing a variety of infections in both immunocompetent and immunocompromised hosts.
So basically, like The Last of Us.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
We're just trying to get it like the Rona. Instead of chewing on bats, we're just going to start putting it in eye drops.
Yeah.
Get the next one going.
So is that, I'm guessing that sounds like some sort of like fungus.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Either way, it's bad.
Hopefully the KY jelly is contaminated as well. You might be joining that LGBTQ crowd. It's a lot of letters. We need to sum that up. Might be joining a little bit faster than you think if it does get contaminated. You got to chop that off.
Straight people use KY too, man.
Until you chop that thing off, then you're getting it. Then you're getting that change.
Oh, Jesus Christ! All right, we got about 10 minutes left of the show. Anything else you want to discuss? I covered everything that I wanted to do.
We bounced.
Let's pull it up.
Should be up. Yeah. So hit that. So text bouncing. We're holding. We found some buyers. The only thing I would say, I'd hate to be at first it looked good until you switched over. And I'm not a perma bear, guys. I just income bias, not directional bias. The fact that we hit that and that's all the buyers could do should be telling. Like, we found this zone, the buyers showed up like we thought. Here they are, and we're already checking it again. There's only so many in this zone before it does break down. So what I say in my group a lot is it's a zone until not. So you got to assume buyers probably until we break down.
This is your 15-minute chart.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are we at? We're not even 30 minutes in. I thought the first 30 minutes shake out and then maybe we'll pick a direction. So hopefully the buyers show up. We start to have we've seen plenty of Fridays that look like this, start out like this, and then we'll end the day up here in this bright yellow zone. If we actually break above this, I'm going to take a stab at going long, but I don't know if I would be long or short over the weekend. I might actually sit this weekend out and just be neutral. Because I wouldn't really want to go short until I figure I'd want a better entry to go short.
Yeah.
And if we broke that and started headed up, we've seen Fridays just turn and burn. So I'm going to, like I said, take a stab at going long here in a little bit if it does get above that. And then probably just sit tight and see what bank news we get over the weekend.
Yeah.
The Russell's just not looking good at all, though. I am going to buy the Russell down here no matter what happens.
Yeah, Russell always seems to be the most volatile anyway. So that's not really too much of a shock to see how much that's dropping off there.
Yeah, I expect this probably hit that bottom zone. The cool thing about this is and I said this last night with the group, is the only way I'm not buying this right here is if it just blasts through that so fast that I can't physically get the order in fast enough. Like, I imagine that's going to be a pretty decent level for the Russell, and it just stays sideways. When the Russell does this, this is like a normal thing for the Russell to do. It just goes sideways. It's like almost all last year. These become great buy points. So, like, no matter what, you're going to see this no matter what bad news comes out, buying it, and then it comes.
Yeah,
and we'll turn it around.
Lord Fenrir mentioned anyone watching Activision. I haven't been watching Activision. There's something going on there.
I thought Microsoft canceled the deal. Are they bringing it back on?
I heard that this morning, but yeah, the stock's up 7.33% right now. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I don't want to preemptively say that's what it was. I thought I heard that headline this morning. So Activision Blizzard pops. This is according to Seeking Alpha as UK regulator narrows inquiry scope on Microsoft merger. UK's antitrust regulator provisionally concluded that the proposed deal would not reduce competition in the console gaming market. So this actually is in favor of the merger moving forward, from what I'm understanding. Quote, the Competition and Markets Authority has provisionally concluded that the anticipated acquisition by Microsoft of Activision Blizzard Inc. will not result in a substantial lessening of competition in relation to the console gaming in the UK. The agency wrote in a statement. That's one headline I'm reading, looking just to make sure that there's nothing else. Yeah, that's the major headline that I'm seeing this morning. And feel free, anybody else, if there's something else I'm missing, but that seems to be what's going on there. That's why the stocks popped. because it looks as if the merger, at least the UK, is in favor of the merger going through. From what it seems like.
Yeah, no. Once they talked about that, I used to like trading this one.
Yeah,
once I got the merger, I just ditched it.
Before they had all their PR issues, and
oh yeah, I do remember
harassment issues. It was a great company. I love to trade it too.
Just to explain everyone, what I hate doing is drawing a zone right where the price is at. But what we're looking for here is we're pushing up. So anytime we're pushing up like this, you just go up to the left, look for where the seller's at. So doing just that, huge order sells there, sell order there, and then again, sell order there. So that's why I drew that zone there. And kind of same thing. Where was that game of tug of war played last, which is how I found this zone right here. And also this up here kind of playing that horizontal game. If you're watching like support and resistance, a lot of people will probably call this out, but I'd probably call that a speed bump zone, a smaller time frame. So hitting that right now, it'd be interesting to see if it actually does get above. But if there is a merger, has anyone mentioned a price?
Yeah, it was. I want to say it was $90 a shares. What the merger price was? I think it was 90. I have to go back and check, but it was a long time ago that they announced that.
I do like to sell options contracts above that,
but I do want to say that it was probably around 90. I think.
Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out.
So yeah, actually, you can kind of see we're only up to what 86 there back when they announced the merger. What is that? 22, just before earnings, I think.
If that's what it was, then yeah,
I think that's where they announced that the initial merger was beginning of 22.
Okay. If they're going to bring that on and the merger is around that level, you probably won't see this go anywhere. Anytime there's a buyout, you typically see it just jump right to it and then hang out. Because if they're going to buy you out at $87 a share, who's buying that in hopes it goes to 88 or 89?
Yeah.
Google says 95 per share. You might have some meat on the bones then.
Yeah.
That'd be a tough trade right now. You're asking to tag out, but if you want to jump on that train, I would go long. I'd put my stop at 83, 85. You know, if it breaks that, people are going to talk about the gap fill and all that. So you'll probably have some sellers. So like this is what the trade would look like. So there's the wick. I just fudged it down to the 85-cent mark. That's a personal thing for me. Realistically, I'd have to have my take profit right there for now. I trail everything, so that's almost negligible. But if you're looking to take advantage of the merger, then it'd pump up right here to this 95 zone.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the trade would look. So if it broke that, headed south, then I would just be out.
Yeah. But appreciate you bringing that to my attention.
Yeah, what 4 is about to drop.
It's the new game for Activision. Yeah. Sounds like you're having an earthquake over there.
Yeah, just a fun time to do over here.
Guys, if you're looking at these zones that Don's pointing out here, and you want to learn more about that, make sure you go check us out over at patreon.com. For $5 a month, you get access to these charts as well as all kinds of other goodies. Don puts his alerts in there on his growth account. I'm starting to trade with Don as well. And so my alerts are going to be going in there too very shortly. And you get access to exclusive content, my stock watch lists for Stock Watch Sunday, as well as access to our Discord. And it just helps support us. There's really no risk to you except for $5 a month. So if you guys want to go check that out, we certainly would appreciate it. It helps support the channel, helps support content for the future to come out on both of our channels. And we really would appreciate it. So go check us out at patreon.com/ownthechaos. The links are in the description on both Don's and my channel. We'll love to have you guys over there. And that's going to do it for today's show. This is a great Friday. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that thumbs up if you did. And we're going to move on with birthdays as Don's making trades over there. Today, The Undertaker is 58 years old. Like, dude, still.
I thought he was dead.
What?
Fake?
No, he's not dead.
Maybe it was one of those fake news things that I saw.
The Undertaker died about 20 times, but he always came back.
Man, my dog got really offended by that.
Yeah. But gosh, I mean, how many Royal Rumbles did the Undertaker show up dead? Probably a lot.
True.
But Peyton Manning is 46. Jim Parsons is 49. If you guys don't know Jim Parsons, he's what What's that show? The Big Bang Theory. He's a big nerd in Big Bang Theory. Jim Parsons. Tommy Hilfiger is 71. And we cannot forget about Misty Stone, who is 37 years old. She's best known for Chicken Heads, Dick or Treat, Fart Fantasy, Black and White Cookies, and Black Feet on Booty Street. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We certainly appreciate it. Those are your birthdays. Hit that thumbs up on your way out the door. And we'll see you on Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern time over here at Own the Chaos. We'll do it all over again next week. Until then, have a great weekend. We love you all. Peace.
Have a good one.